Good day to you. My name is Maria Kądzielska and this is Poland Daily Culture. We're talking still about a novel about Tamara Łempicka. With me in the studio is Grzegorz Musiał, who is the author of this book. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
And it's so much material here with lots of places and lots of people. And of course, I would say an immediate question is, who did you meet while working on this book? And I know that you spent 10 years of your life in order to finish this and in order to write it. So it's a long time and a lot of details and a lot of research. And of course, my question is, yes, who did you meet? What kind of experience and how did you gain your material?
It's much longer than just 10 years. Just 10 years. I think I started thinking about writing a novel about her life in 2000 when the biography written by Laura Claridge, American professor who wrote the basic biography of Tamara's. When this got into my hands in 2000, it was published in Poland, first time. So I read the story and I said, oh my God, this is really a great life. And I want to write a book about it, about her, not about her life, but just about her soul, first of all, because fascinating person. I said, oh my God, how she managed to pack up so many, to pack into her so many things. So many people, so many names. The whole century, history of the 20th century, is displayed through the facts of her life and the people she met.
And even her biography, she was born in Warsaw.
Yes.
And she died in Mexico, and her ashes were put into the volcano.
The volcano, yes. She ordered it to the volcano, although her daughter Kizet, to the very end, to the very ceremony of throwing the ashes, was protesting. She said mother would never do it. She would never like this to be done this way. But it's another story, because Victor Contreras, her life companion of her last years, was the one responsible for her legacy, and because she signed all the inheritation on him. She disinherited her family. Her daughter even, yes.
Interesting, why?
Yes,
That's
because,
also very...
well, it's a long story about how so many pictures disappeared from the attics of her daughter's house in Houston. Because she left a lot of her works in Houston on the attics of the house of Kizet, her daughter, who had her own family. And, you know, this is going to be the second volume of my book about her American life, yes. So about the difficult relationship between her and her daughters and her granddaughters, whatever. So finally she moved out to Cuernavaca on her last decade of her life in 1970s. But in Houston, there were, you know, most of her works on the attics, and they disappeared. And now they appear on the international auctions as the private property. So they probably come from that time. They were sold without her permission, and they circulate in the world. Her best paintings sometimes. So Tamara was furious about it when she found out that so many of her works disappeared. And it was not a sort of a revenge on her daughter, but it was just her rational thinking that if they are not able to take care on my works when I'm alive, so what will be with my works if I leave my legacy to them when I'm dead? So that's why she left it to Victor Contreras, whom she trusted, because she said, we are artists and we will never betray each other, because we understand the importance of being an artist and the legacy. So that's why the whole legacy went into his hands. And also the stories he has to say to the listener about her life are priceless. So I was lucky to have made friendship with him. I was even more lucky to have traveled to the place where he still lives, in Cuernavaca, and to live in Tamara's house. So where she stayed last years of her life, because she sold her own house. It was kind of a bungalow, not a big house, it's a flat little building on the swimming pool with the view of the volcano, famous Popocatépetl, in front of the balcony. And she sold it, and she then moved to one of 3 houses which Victor Contreras owns in Cuernavaca. They're beautiful palaces. One is Creolian, one is Cortesian, and the third one is Rococo, whatever. There's really beautiful collections inside of those houses, and she just chose one of them in Callao Borda. which is not far from the park and the cathedral, and there's patio in it, and she stayed there. She loved that place. So I had the luck to also be there for some time and see the souvenirs of her life, and first of all, listen to the stories about her. So it's priceless stories. Later on, the chance appeared to get in touch with other people. First, Mr. Alain Blondel, who is already mentioned in our talk, the student of fine arts in Paris, who discovered Tamara in 1972. Who found her paintings in an album as a student, and with a group of friends, they decided they will make her exhibition after long decades of oblivion.
Just to explain it to the audience,
yes.
She was popular just after the war. And then
until the war.
And then she was after forgotten. The First War, yes. I mean, and then after the Second War,
yeah. She left Europe and she went to France to avoid the approaching Second World War with her husband, who was Jewish. So they moved out with all their properties from Europe to New York, just in a few months before the outbreak of the war. And after the war, she could not find a place for herself on the artistical scene in the United States, because America was totally taken over by guys like Rothko, by Jackson Pollock, by Roy Lichtenstein, who came later as a cartoonist. So this was the art which was coming into America, and nobody wanted all, some countesses or gigolos from Parisian cabarets who was, interested in it. They just forgot that world, and she was treated as a funny old lady who paints all those, gigolos, kind of ambiguous, sexual, whatever. So let's forget her. The stain, the colorful stain, became the idea of the new wave painting, not the figurative elements.
And I do hope that the audience of Poland Daily will try it themselves, because truly the story is fascinating and we cannot share it even in very small detail here on air in TV. But anyway, thank you very much for watching Poland Daily Culture.